example, Maimonides writes that the whole story about the Garden of Eden never took place. It's metaphorical. He writes this about the Chamor, the ass which spoke in Bilam, in Bamidbar. He says, it's a dream. And there is, even in Kabbalah, there is a whole concept that everything in the Torah is somewhere metaphorical. Some of it may happen here in this world, some may not have happened. It happened somewhere else. So I want to discuss with you something which I think is extremely important. It is something which plays at the moment itself out in Jewish history. It deals with the Jewish people. It deals with the state of Israel. It deals even with the conflict which at this moment takes place in Israel. And somehow it is related to a prohibition which we find in the Torah. We find it in chapter 30 in the book of Shemot, the book of Exodus. Very strange prohibition. Because there is a statement, there is a prohibition of counting Jews. That's one of the 613 commandments. You're not allowed to count Jews. For those who are familiar with the parashiot of the different portions of the Torah which we read, you'll find it at the very beginning of Parashat Ki Tisa in Shemot, in Exodus chapter 30. It says like this, and you have to concentrate. I know this is not fair, 11 o'clock in the evening. Ki tisa, it rosh b'nei Yisrael. If you want to take the census of the people of Israel, you want to know how many people are there within the Jewish people, then the way how to do that is to take half a shekel, a particular coin, which is the valuta of the Jewish people at the time. Like we call today, we speak still today about the shekel. So half a shekel which you have to take, you have to bring it to the temple. It is a contribution to the temple. And then afterwards, you can count the amount of shekalim. How many coins are there? And then you will know how many Jews there are. And why is this? Which means, why is it that you are only allowed to count Jews indirectly? Says the Torah, "V'lo yiyeh bahem nekef bifkot otam," so that no plague will break out among them. It shouldn't lead to a disaster. You want to count Jews? You're not permitted. You're not allowed to. You can't go around and say 1 Jew, 2 Jews, 3 Jews. If you really need to know, then you can only do this indirectly, and that is indeed by making everybody to give this half a shekel. And then afterwards you can count the shekalim. But if you count Jews directly, by going around the room, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Jews, then says the Torah, you bring about a disaster among the Jewish people. A plague. Which really means, by the way, that people will die because of it. People will actually die. It is mortal to count Jews. It's not a rabbinical law. It's a law straight out of the Bible, straight out of the Torah. That's very strange. Why are you not allowed to count Jews? I don't know if you know, but if you want to know if there's a minyan of 10 people in a synagogue, then the rabbi will not go around and say 1, 2, 3, 4 till 10. He will take a pasuk, he will take a verse out of the Torah, which happens to exist out of 10 words. And he will quote while counting, that way, how many people there are there. It's a scary business to count Jews. It is a matter because of which people can die, and this, by the way, has happened, I will show you in a moment. It's mortal danger. It's the last thing what you ever should do. Counting Jews. And the question obviously is, why? Why is this such a dangerous thing? After all, let's be honest about one thing, and that is that you need to know how many people there are within a nation. You need to know it because of your military power. How many people are there in the army? You need to know it because of taxes, which need to be paid to the government. Every nation is in tremendous need to make sure that they know how many people there are within its population. I'm sure there are times when here in Britain, the government says we really need to recount the amount of British people. And so it is everywhere around the world. No, says the Torah, when it comes to Jews, no way. If you really want to do it, you can do it indirectly by way of these coins. I believe that this matter goes right to the very essence of whom we are. One of the biggest problems today in Jewish society is that we Jews forgot whom we are. And I will try to show you this. But before I tell you that, I want you to know that in Tanakh, in the Bible, there was one case where directly somebody counted Jews, and indeed a plague broke out. The man who did that was King David. King David one day wanted to know, it's in the book of Samuel, wanted to know how many Jews there are, and he decided to have a count. And Joab, who was his right-hand man, the general in the army, comes up to David and says, David, you're not allowed to do this. This is one of the prohibitions. And David doesn't listen, and he has everybody counted. And a moment later, people die. Quite a few of them. But the Torah does not explain why. As most of the time the Torah does not explain the why, and leaves it up to us to see if we have any clue what that could mean and what it stands for. So I'll try to show you what I think about this. And I hope you take a message home. I think an important message. But to do that, I'm going to take you somewhere else. Just keep the question in mind. In the Talmud, there is a very short statement, an unusual statement, about two cities. One city is called Jerusalem, and the other city is called Caesarea, near Jaffo. And the Talmud says like this, and hear well. Caesarea Jerusalem, Caesarea and Jerusalem. Im yomru lecha. If somebody speaks up to you about these cities, and he says